Picture a vast savanna stretching as far as the eye can see. Suddenly, a group of tall, lean figures appears on the horizon. Their red robes stand out against the landscape. These are the Maasai, one of Africa's most famous tribes. They have called the plains of East Africa home for centuries. The Maasai are known for their distinctive appearance and way of life. They are cattle herders who have lived in harmony with nature for generations. Despite the changing world around them, the Maasai have managed to keep many of their traditions alive. The Maasai are famous for their bravery and skill as warriors. They are known for their impressive jumping dances, where warriors compete to see who can jump the highest. Their culture is rich with traditions that have been passed down through the ages. The story of the Maasai people stretches back many centuries. They are believed to have migrated from the Nile Valley in the north. They moved south into what is now Kenya and Tanzania. This journey took place around 500 years ago. The Maasai brought with them their cattle and their way of life. For the Maasai, cattle are everything. They believe that all the cattle in the world belong to them. This belief comes from a story in their mythology. The story says that the sky god Enkai sent all cattle down to earth on a rope. He gave them to the Maasai to look after. Because of this, the Maasai see themselves as the guardians of all cattle. Despite losing much of their land to European colonizers, the Maasai have held on to their culture. Life for the Maasai revolves around their cattle. Every morning, the men and boys lead the herds out to graze. They spend long hours in the hot sun watching over their animals. The women and girls stay behind in the village. They have many tasks to do. They milk the cows, fetch water, and gather firewood. The Maasai diet is simple but nutritious. They rely heavily on their cattle for food. Milk and blood from the cattle are important parts of their diet. They also eat meat on special occasions. In recent years, they have started to include more plant-based foods. Education is becoming more important for the Maasai. Many Maasai children now go to school, learning to balance their traditional way of life with the modern world. Ceremonies play a big role in Maasai life, marking every important stage of life. One of the most important ceremonies is the warrior initiation, marking the transition from boyhood to manhood. When you think of the Maasai, one of the first things that comes to mind is their colorful clothing. The most famous item is the shuka, a bright red cloth worn wrapped around the body. Red represents courage, strength, and unity. Jewelry is very important in Maasai culture. Both men and women wear lots of colorful beaded necklaces and bracelets. The colors and patterns of the beadwork have special meanings, showing a person's age, social status, or if they're married. Maasai warriors have a very distinctive appearance. They often paint their faces with red ochre, a natural pigment. They also stretch their earlobes and wear large, circular earrings. In the past, warriors would carry spears and shields. Today, you're more likely to see them with cell phones. The Maasai are famous for their elaborate hairstyles. Women often shave their heads while men and warriors grow their hair long, weaving it into thin braids dyed with red ochre. These hairstyles are an important part of Maasai identity. Life for the Maasai is changing fast. One of the biggest challenges they face is loss of land. As cities grow and farms expand, the Maasai are losing their traditional grazing lands. This makes it hard for them to keep large herds of cattle. Some Maasai have had to give up their nomadic lifestyle, settling in permanent villages instead. Climate change is another big problem. The Maasai depend on regular rains for their cattle and crops, but droughts are becoming more common, leading to food shortages and loss of livestock. The Maasai are having to adapt their farming and herding practices. Education is changing Maasai society. More young people are going to school and university, opening up new opportunities. But it also means they spend less time learning traditional skills. Tourism has brought both benefits and challenges. Many Maasai communities now earn money from tourism, but some worry that their way of life is becoming a show for tourists. Finding a balance between tradition and modern life is a constant challenge. Despite challenges, the Maasai work hard to preserve their culture. Cultural centers teach young Maasai their history and traditions. Women use beading skills to make jewelry for the global market. Some Maasai become guides, using their land and wildlife knowledge. Many work as wildlife rangers, protecting animals from poachers. The Maasai have shown incredible resilience over the centuries. They are determined to keep their unique culture alive.